Hey guys, welcome to vlog day 3. Thank you for coming back again. It's pretty awesome. I'm gonna keep this kind of short today, mostly because I am feeling pretty under the weather. 18 days out, so I guess if I'm gonna get sick, I'd rather get sick right now and not like 2 days from when I'm leaving. So I'm gonna take a nap because I'm trying to live my best life, is all. So, yeah. So I decided today to talk a little bit about why I decided to quit my life in the first place. Since all of these videos so far are kind of about that in general, and kind of what that process looked like for me. So I have been living in Indianapolis for 5 years, but I've been doing hair for like 9 years. Don't know when that happened, but it did. And a little over a year ago, I opened my own salon, and it just took off like crazy. It was super successful. Like, definitely did not know that I had that in me and that I was capable of doing such an awesome thing and have it be so great. So anyway, like this time last year, my ex and I were still living together. I had opened my salon. Things were going really well. I was crazy busy. Living in this awesome apartment downtown, like things were going pretty well. I mean, I knew something was off in our relationship, and really I kind of thought it had to do with whatever, his job situation and whatever. But for the most part, things were going pretty well. And then after we broke up in January and things kind of totally got flipped upside down, and that's when I realized that I had been with a sociopath for almost 2 years and like all this stuff. And again, I'll say more on that later. But when all of that kind of blew up, it just made me, it was a huge wake-up call. And when I realized that I had been with someone who I thought was my best friend, and to find out that, you know, I had been lied to for 2 years and all of this crazy shit was coming out of the woodwork. And I just realized, I'm like, I can't deal with anything else. Like, I mean, I had been, you know, there were things that had happened in my past that I just hadn't really dealt with, and then that happened. And this is somebody that, you know, for this period of time, I thought this is going to be the person I spend my life with. And it was just a huge wake-up call. And I realized that, you know, there were some things I needed to deal with, and no one was going to do it for me. No one was going to change my life for me. And if anything was going to change, I had to change. So, that's when I sort of just dove in. I dove into therapy. I hired a couple of coaches, life coaches, for various purposes. And I just dove into myself and to dealing with, again, things that I needed to acknowledge. And it was really fucking hard. It was really hard. And, you know, to put that kind of work in, you have to know that there's no way around it. Like, there's no way around the pain. There's no way around kind of re-experiencing some of the things that you went through to try and deal with them because you didn't deal with them in the first place. You know, when I was going through that process, I've lived in 4 different apartments this year, like literally moved all of my shit from, 4 different apartments, and now 2 different friends, and then another continent by the time the year's over. But every time I moved, something still felt off, and I started to feel like, I'm trying to fit myself into a life that I thought was what I wanted, and it's just not. And it doesn't fit. It feels uncomfortable. It feels like I'm trying to make something mine that's not mine. And, you know, I knew for a long time that it had always been my dream to be able to work remote and travel the world as I do that. And I never wanted to have to be stuck in one location. And that's the thing about being a hairstylist, is like, you can take your craft anywhere you go, but you're going to lose your clientele every time you move. So no clientele, no job. So I knew that hair was not my forever, but I wasn't making moves to do anything else about it. Like, I mean, I started writing a book, yes, so I was doing that. But I really wasn't looking at, like, what do I really need to do to make this a reality? So I went to Italy in June, at the end of June, and at that point in time, I knew I was really thinking about moving, but I didn't know where. I was looking at a couple different places. And, you know, I've been to Italy before for an extended period of time. And, you know, before I left, people were like, you're totally going to decide to move there. And I was like, I don't know. I've done that before. I mean, I love Italy. It's like my soul place and whatever. But I'm like, I don't really know if I see that happening. And then, yeah, I was 3 days into my trip, I think, and I just knew. I was like, I cannot go back to what I was doing. I can't anymore. And I'm lucky. I'm lucky in that I actually have a job that was mine. I mean, I owned my craft, I owned my job, I owned my salon, like whatever, but it wasn't fulfilling me anymore. Like, it wasn't lighting me up. I was ready to be done. And I didn't know what that was going to look like, but I'm like, well, here we go. So I got home from my trip and just immediately started selling stuff, and it still felt right. And I think that's the thing that, you know, I can't tell you the how. I can't tell you that I know exactly how all of this is going to work out, because I don't. You know, I don't have anybody bankrolling me, as I've talked about before. I don't. So the money piece is like, I'm very hopeful that my new business and my writing will take off and I'll do fine. And if I need to hustle along the way and do odd jobs and whatever I need to do, I'm willing to do. Because I could find a million different reasons not to do this. There's always reasons not to change. There's always reasons to stay stuck. But the bottom line is nothing changes if nothing changes. So no, I don't know the how. But once I made the decision, things continue to start falling into place. So I just continue to follow that. I think it's easy to get stuck when you feel like, oh, I've been doing this, you know, I've been building this career now for 8 or 9 years. And like, what am I just going to do? Chuck it all? Like, what do you, like, gosh, that just doesn't seem practical. That just doesn't seem logical. And if you're looking for practical and logical, well, you're not going to do something like this because it's not practical. But I know that not doing it is going to be something I would regret the rest of my life, and I'm not willing to do that. So, you know, everybody's starting over can look different. Like, it can be simply that you change your career path. It doesn't have to be that you chuck your entire life and, you know, move overseas or whatever the hell I'm doing. So, you know, the closer I get being 18 days out, people are like, how are you feeling? Are you stoked? Are you so excited? Are you this? Are you that? And I feel really calm about it. I am excited. It's not that I'm not excited, but I'm also not dreadful. I'm not nervous. Like, I'm just kind of like cool and calm, and I'm not even trying to fake. Like, it just is what it is. Like, I'm like, okay, like, I'm ready. I feel ready. And, you know, as ready as you can be to leave people that you love, you know, and I don't know that I'll ever move back to Indianapolis. But I just know it's time. And, you know, it's not, I think it's easy to make excuses if you know, oh, I have this going on or I have that going on. But it's like, the bottom line is that if you really don't like the way something's going, you can change it. If you found yourself in a circumstance that you're like, I'm just not happy, you can change it. I'm not saying it's going to be easy. I'm not sitting over here like, oh, it's a cakewalk and you should totally do it. And if you don't, you're not doing it right. Like, fuck that. Like, I get it. Like, there are obstacles. There are always going to be obstacles. But how many years are you going to spend thinking about the fact that you have obstacles, but not changing anything and not doing anything, not taking any steps? That's what I was doing. It was like I had this pipe dream and I wasn't doing anything to get closer to it, really. But once everything got flipped upside down, I was like, well, Ronnie, it's now or never. So it's now. So that is sort of what my process has looked like. And there are for sure more ins and outs of that we'll get into, and, you know, as I go further down this journey. But yeah, that's what it was for me. And I know there are other people in my life right now that are thinking about making massive life changes, and it's hard. And I love talking to them about it because it's never going to be this easy breezy thing. But the bottom line is, if you can't stand the idea that in 6 months your life would look exactly the same, then it's time to change something. So that's what I've got for you today. Now I'm going to go take a nap, as previously stated. Thank you for tuning in, and I will be back again on Sunday. Bye, guys.